Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, MIL tried to leave my home with my newborn baby. MIL shares information without consent. MIL discloses SO's attempt at a surprise proposal and continues to show up unannounced after multiple attempts to communicate our needs for privacy after a long antepartum and NICU stay. Need advice setting boundaries? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. MIL tried to leave my home with my newborn baby. I just recently had my fourth child at the start of the month. My MIL is definitely a baby grabber, and just last week did I let her see the baby, from a distance of course. I've reminded her several times to keep her distance, but she will still get up and walk over to take my baby from me. My husband has been home since I had the baby, but yesterday he had to go in because of an issue, and he needed to be there. My mom was at our house yesterday, but was doing some of the housework for me. At one point I decided I needed a nap, the baby was asleep and the other children were watching TV. I woke up to yelling an hour later, went downstairs, and my husband has had to grab the baby out of MIL arms. MIL came over for a visit, saw I was asleep, knew the stroller was by the front door, and ran up the stairs to grab the baby. She decided to go for a walk with the baby. My mom caught as she tried to leave, and started arguing with her, which is when MIL decided to start yelling about going out for a simple walk. Keep in mind she wasn't wearing a mask. This is when my hubby got home and saw what was going on. He had to stand in MIL's way while trying to get our baby back, but MIL was blocking him from grabbing our baby, screaming at him to let her go. By the time I came down and was told what happened, I wasn't happy. I told my husband to go give the baby a wash while I kicked his mom out. Later on she called me and pretty much played dumb and asked me why I kicked her out. I told her why and then told her that because of her actions we were going to NC with her. She demanded to talk to my husband. But I just simply hung up on her. ETA, me and hubby are discussing pressing charges. More or likely will happen. ETA 2, we have gone ahead and pressed charges, from the person who we spoke to said, and some of you were right about this, the old lady card may be played, but it still could be a good idea to have a record, in case she tries again. Oh. By the way, when we got back home, flying monkeys were on our doorstep. Some family, some practically friends/minions, as my husband calls them, of MIL, they all listen to our side of the story. Family are outraged with MIL, while her minions are outraged by us. I wouldn't be letting that one back in my house ever again. If you are in the US, I'd consult an attorney. If you can press charges, attempted kidnapping is very serious. But you'll have an arrest record to go on later. If they won't prosecute, then your attorney can help you craft a plan to proceed. Maybe you can get a restraining order at the very least. These things will help deal with the grandparents' rights. **T she may try. Sneaking in and kidnapping children while mother is asleep is not a valid grandparent right. She shouldn't need a judge to tell her this. Nice. I love a MIL story with proper consequences for their shitty actions. She should consider herself lucky she didn't get punched in the mouth. Or have the police called and charged her with attempted kidnapping. I would have, but the kids were in the next room. I see of a lot of these MIL posts. And it's not a MIL thing. It's mental illness that's been enabled over the years by family. And it needs to stop. Oh, just a walk. Is that what they're calling kidnapping these days? I suppose. What is up with all these crazy old women? When my son grows up and marries someone, I'll do whatever it takes to make that person feel loved and accepted, but also make sure they know I'm there for anything on their terms. As much as I love my son, he's 6 and often says I'm his best friend lol, I know that the day will come when I'm no longer the most important person in his life. When that day comes, I'll be happy for him because I'll know that when I'm not there anymore, he'll have someone to give him all of the love and adoration I can no longer provide. As moms of boys, our job is to prepare our sons to be good husbands and fathers. That means putting their so and children before everyone else. When our sons choose their partners over us, we should be proud that we did our job correctly. There's something seriously wrong with any mother who wants their son to take their side over their partner, or who doesn't respect the boundary set by their son and DIL. So she's yelled all over your newborn. She'd better not be infectious. Oh, trust me, she better hope she's not. You need to at least file a police report. My thinking is this: if once you go NC for a while, she may petition the court for grandparents' visitation rights. Depending on state, the state can enforce mandated visitation. They look at all aspects of the grandparents' history, deciding on the type of visitation, and a report from this incident will help. MIL shares information without consent. It's just what the title says. I went over to their house for some little kid birthday party and was just bombarded with questions and guilt and all of this. They obviously don't know I'm pregnant, but then, my MIL mentioned that she shared something with another woman in the family, that I only told her, and I told her that I told her that, and when I tell her something, I'm telling her, not everyone she knows. She brushed me off and ignored me, and I got really angry because it's like my wedding dress all over again. She showed pictures to everyone before the wedding, even her daughter's doctor. After I specifically told her not to, I shouldn't have had to because etiquette. I had to get her on the phone and make her delete the pictures on her phone. I asked her to keep it to herself or delete them, and she said that she would rather delete them. Anyway, my husband and I were planning on telling her our news in 2 weeks, but I don't feel like I can trust her with the news. She has horrible boundaries and shares my information with anyone she talks to. Literally anyone. Partly this is a rant because what the heck. And partly, needing advice. I know husband wants to tell her, but if I can't trust that she's not going to start telling everyone she knows and start being a nightmare, I don't want to tell her. At this point, I want to move far away. Update: it turns out that my husband already spoke to her about keeping her mouth shut, and that she talks too much about things that have nothing to do with her, and this makes him not want to share anything with her. I am actually super surprised, but he has had this talk before. So I was firm. We are not telling her until we absolutely have to. Update number 2, I'm good. Thank you all for validating my concerns. Update number 3, husband is under some false understanding that if he says that she shouldn't share the information, then it won't get shared. I asked him what happens if she shares it. He said that she will then be on a strict no information diet. I have stood my ground on it, and he wants to keep it from my family as well. My family doesn't spread information about me and validates me, so I am not worried about them spreading it around. He and I are still at an impasse, but I'm not budging. There will be consequences if he tells her without my consent. Don't tell her until you're happy for it to be general knowledge, because it will be. This. If you plan on making an announcement on social media etc., she gets to find out as you are hitting post. Not a second earlier. The fact that she chose to delete a picture rather than not show it to everyone she meets says everything. She will never keep your private information to herself. This means 2 things. 1. You should never tell her anything that you don't want the whole world to know. 2. When there is information you're willing to tell her, she should be the last person to be informed. In the specific case of your pregnancy, tell her only after telling your other family members, and only when you're ready to post on social media. Don't feel guilty about any of this. She chose this path for herself. The real issue is getting my husband on board. He is so attached. It's getting better, but he is just like her. He shares. We agreed on later. But he wanted to tell her sooner. Remind husband why you wait to tell people. If the worst happens, you don't want it common knowledge. Based on her inability to keep a thought to herself, she finds out when you announce it publicly, not a second before. Like literally have her on the phone tell her hit post. She knows nothing you haven't publicly shared. Remind him also it is your private medical information. Not his. Thank you. I'm just over it. I was going to make it so cute, but at this point, I just want to move away and come visit with a baby already in hand. Don't go forward expecting things to be different, then mad and sad when they are not. Your MIL shares, your husband shares, genetic kink. You deal with it by doing exactly what you reasonably deducted already. You share at 12 to 13 weeks when safe and all know. That is not an insult. And it's your private choice. No further explanation needed. You reinforce with husband it's best for both of you to wait to tell when you are out of miscarriage stage. Don't insult the MIL, get him on your safety side as the reason. Thank you. Have husband tell her as you hit send on your social media post. I don't have social media. So I won't be posting anything. When you do finally tell her, make sure you tell her why you waited so long. She needs to know she did this to herself. She would rather delete a picture than just shut up. I'm dying at her showing a random doctor. She sounds truly insufferable. I was absolutely shocked. My husband has been sharing possible moving locations, and she brought it up yesterday that she talked about it with her SIL's mom and dismissively mentioned that, y'all aren't going to move there. Now I want to go just to spite her. I know that's a dumb reason, but she was extremely dismissive when my next words were, that information was not for you to share. Can you imagine being that doctor? Like lady, I have patience to see LOL. She's proven to you multiple times she can't keep information private, so I wouldn't tell her anything that you aren't ready for everyone else to know. I don't think it's a big deal to have her be told when everyone else is told. She's lost the privilege of being informed before others. This goes for the baby's gender, name, and all future big announcements. A real live grandma here. You can't tell her anytime soon. Might as well wait 6 months. Don't tell her the baby name either. And when she complains, tell her why. I can't trust you with news, so that's why you're last to know. People like this don't change because they don't have to talk about except other people. It sounds like your husband is partially the issue here too. I would have a serious conversation with him, laying out your boundaries and also implementing some consequences that you will stick to if those boundaries are crossed. For example, if MIL tells a single person anything about my pregnancy without my express permission to do so, I am going to block her on socials/my phone, and I will refuse to talk to her except with you as company. This applies to all communications going forward. If it happens more than once, I will refuse to allow her to visit the baby unless we're both here. That will mean she only ever gets to see the baby when we're both off work. So, husband, you are the gatekeeper for how functional mine and MIL's relationship will be during this pregnancy, and for how well we will get along when baby arrives. I am done with her gossiping about me without my permission, and it is no longer going to go unpunished. MIL discloses SO's attempt at a surprise proposal and continues to show up unannounced after multiple attempts to communicate our needs for privacy after a long antepartum and NICU stay. Need advice setting boundaries? While holding my 3-week-old twins, MIL says, I keep forgetting these are not my babies, knowingly crashes a romantic dinner I planned for my SO's last day of paternity leave, and the worst incident IMO, told me that my SO had planned on proposing to me on a recent trip if the time was right, hasn't yet. Mind you, this was in the context of asking me if we conceived during said trip, because she was trying to do the math. Major cringe. Context: I had a high-risk pregnancy where I was monitored in the hospital for 6 weeks antepartum followed by a NICU stay. During my baby shower, MIL declared she planned to stay with my SO while I was away for a month before delivery. They eventually negotiated a week. She's since suggested staying with us indefinitely to help with chores, babies, etc. We told her we appreciate the continued offers, but are managing very well and feel a need for privacy while settling into parenthood and our home after a long hospital stay. She said she understood and would let us communicate when/how we would like support, yet arranged to stay at a friend's guest house in our neighborhood, stating that her heart was aching to see her grandchildren. She visited the weekend prior, and just needed to be physically close, lives a few hours away, but don't worry, I won't be in your hair. She said things like she and her SO weren't doing well and she just needed space. Emotionally manipulative IMO. She later admitted she overstated her need for alone time and just wanted to see the babies. She showed up with multiple suitcases BC. She didn't know how long she would stay. Flash forward, I'm bringing home my SO's favorite takeout for a surprise romantic dinner on his last day of paternity leave. She knows this. I arrive home and she's sitting on our porch, because she needed a change of scenery, but don't worry, we don't need to invite her in if we don't want to. Of course I invited her in to not seem hostile. She has dinner with us, then continues on with unrequested house chores and pacifying babies, oftentimes intervenes when she hears them crying even if we're handling their needs in the other room, or steps in to soothe them while I'm changing diapers. Anyway, romantic dinner failed. So later politely asked her to let us know before she shows up, but she's since popped in to drop off pastries, fill up her water bottle, read in our backyard. It all sounds lovely but seems sneaky to me, especially when I'm breastfeeding and suddenly see her walking up our driveway, then a couple hours later texts to let me know she's in the backyard if I need anything. SMH. She desperately wants to help, but the proposal spoiler, showing up unannounced, lurking in the yard, and telling me she keeps forgetting my babies are not hers are all serious red flags that she cannot maintain healthy boundaries. She is so loving and has the best of intentions, and will have a meaningful relationship with her grandchildren, but right now I can't handle her crossing boundaries I've clearly set. My SO has also been very clear with her, but she sort of mocks him and says he's very protective of my privacy. He feels it's not my responsibility to manage her behavior, which I appreciate. It's time I confront her, especially given the added incident about the proposal, which honestly really hurt that she would spoil that surprise. What do I say? She is not loving, nor does she have the best of intentions. If she was both of those things, she wouldn't be doing what she is doing. She wants those babies. She is willing to do anything to get as much access to the babies as possible. So she pretends to be loving, she pretends to have the best of intentions. She is lying, she wants the babies. A loving and best of intentions mother would not just appear on her son's doorstep to ruin a romantic evening. A loving and best of intentions mother would listen to her son when he tells her she is overstepping. She is pretending to be loving and have the best of intentions because then you are not likely to say no. If she was mean, it would be easy to say no. She is being nice so that it makes it harder to say no. This is how you get people to do what you want, you kill them with kindness. Boundaries only work if there are consequences. People learn the behaviors to repeat or avoid by whether they receive a reward or punishment. If you reward bad behavior, you get more bad behavior. Telling a person your expectations only works on some people, those who care about not offending or irritating you. Telling her is not working because she wants the babies more than fearing she would offend. Rewards and punishments only work if they are sufficient for the behavior and the person. Here are the things you need to do. 1. Stop giving her info. She didn't need to know you planned a romantic dinner. You let her know and she sabotaged it. So, you need to stop giving her details of your life. Do you plans for tonight? Yes, you always say yes because if you say no, she will invite herself, so even if you don't have plans, you tell her you do. What are the plans? Oh, it's a surprise. Well, you can tell me. If told anyone, then it wouldn't be a surprise. What are you doing tomorrow? Oh, not sure yet. How are the babies? Fine. Lock the door so she can't just enter your house. If she is sitting there on the porch for an unplanned visit, you say, "I'm sorry, but we have plans. Do you mind if I stay?" "I'm sorry, but you can't stay because we have already made plans. This is why you need to call the day before to see if we are available." She is betting that by showing up unannounced you won't say no. That's why you have to say no. As long as you are letting her in when she shows up unannounced, she will never stop showing up unannounced. So even if you don't have plans, you say you have plans, even if you have to get the babies ready and leave with them. You and your so need to decide how often you want to interact with her and for how long. This is not going to be the same as what she desires. That's too bad, because your needs come before her desires. It is best for you and so to be in full agreement on what you both want. If he doesn't care, then he needs to agree to what you want. You and so also have to get comfortable with saying "I'm sorry, that doesn't work for us." Or "No, we are busy." Your babies are not her emotional support animals or her do-over babies. She sounds like a lot of first-time grandparents where instead of acting like a grandparent, being the occasional treat for the babies, she is trying to relive being the mother of babies. Instead of staying in the grandma role and letting you and so raise the babies, she keeps trying to insert herself into your lives to see the babies. The babies don't need to bond with her. The babies are like catnip for her. She can't get enough, because this is when she can pretend she is raising kids again. This is not healthy for her or you. If she is so lonely for the babies, she needs a new hobby or life purpose. Her purpose in life can't be the grandkids, she is not raising them, you and so are. She needs to volunteer somewhere, or something that give her purpose in life. Her commenting that she keeps forgetting the babies aren't hers, is very troubling. It means she really is trying to pretend she is a mama to these babies, rather than the grandma that blows in to visit and blows out at your discretion, not hers. Never reward bad behavior, and boundaries have to have consequences, and grandma is not mama. Actions speak louder than words. Stop letting her come in. Mute her on your phone. When you see her walk up, text her, "Today doesn't work for us. Please don't drop by without an invitation." Practice saying the following. "No thanks, we're good. That doesn't work for us. We're not having anyone over right now. Good luck." I would let her know by showing up unannounced she is pushing you guys away. Making you guys not want to ask for her help for can't follow what you guys want. That if she wants a meaningful relationship with you guys and grandbabies, then she needs to take a step back. For it is not gonna be possible if she keeps being disrespectful. I would acknowledge that you guys know she means well, however that doesn't make up for her ignoring your boundaries. That if she wants to be invited to visit, then she needs to not show up unannounced. Letting her in when she was loitering did the opposite of what you want. You rewarded her by letting her interrupt your romantic dinner and, I assume, sharing your takeout with her. She even gave you an out, saying you didn't need to let her in. Your boundaries are not clearly set. Maybe you gave her suggestions, please let us know before stopping by, but she's not taking the suggestions. You cannot control what she does, but you absolutely can control what you do. Next time she comes over without asking, so needs to tell her it's not a good time and you will all see her later. He can ask her not to hang out in the yard, but she'll continue to do so without consequences. For this one, I would count the hours she's hanging in your yard towards time with the family. Sorry, can't hang out this weekend, you were already over here for 5 hours this week and we need our alone time. Y'all need to start telling her no. She's counting on you being too nice. DH is right, it's not your responsibility to manage her behavior, it's his. If he has communicated the boundaries clearly, and she ignores them, what are the consequences? She shows up, knowing she's crashing date night, says, you don't need to invite me in if you don't want to, and got what she wanted because you let her in because you don't want to seem rude or hostile. She has learned that your boundaries are just suggestions and she doesn't have to pay any attention to them because it seems rude or mean to you and DH to enforce them. If you try, expect that she'll cry about being lonely, etc. You're going to have to be firm, even if it seems mean. Keep the door locked, put her number on mute, and live your life. But, don't worry, I won't be in your hair. But you're in my backward MIL. She has stomped your boundaries and invaded your privacy so many times, it's no more time for discus ion but consequences. As long as she doesn't face any consequences for her behavior she will keep acting this way. Wow, does she want to sleep in your bed, too? So intrusive. The next time she forgets your kids are not her babies, maybe you can remind her that she would have needed to have slept with her son for that to be true. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.